Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining again today. We've got another diorama video for you. Well, here you have my latest diorama project complete. This was a pretty small and short one. Originally, I wasn't even going to do a base. I was just going to do the sculpture piece, which is just the Predator on this little mound of dirt. And I had actually completed that and decided, nah, why don't I make it into a full diorama? So I ended up pre-painting a wooden base, and now if you take a look, there's all kinds of goodies, grass and rocks and twigs and stuff. And of course our subject, the Predator, completely solid, single 3D print, no hollow spots, and boy, does it look super cool, translucent, clear, and transparent. So of course, as usual, without further ado, now you get to watch me build it. Well, first things first, I've already gone ahead and pre-sliced this model, and we're starting the time-lapse off by sending it straight to the 3D printer.
One eternity later. A few moments later.
After removing the supports and giving the model an alcohol bath, it sits for 60 seconds in the UV box. Then it gets placed in a dark room for 3 weeks.
Three weeks later.
3 weeks later, the model is removed and spray varnished with UV-resistant gloss multiple times, which makes it much more transparent and protects it from any future yellowing. We're moving on to paint, and starting with a burnt umber. Next up is burnt sienna. Moving on to fresh cut grass green. As you can see, in both cases of the burnt sienna and the fresh cut grass green, I am only dabbing paint on in spots and dry brushing the rest so as not to saturate the base. Looks absolutely wonderful so far. Now we'll be using a base white to paint the skeletal remains. Next is silver for the wrist blades. And now we'll be using a dark sand yellow to cover the white base on the skeletal remains, giving them a more natural, less bleached look. Moving on to the predator's body, we'll be using that same dark sand yellow for the predator's flesh tone. Now I am moving on to a pure black to start doing modeling and netting details. Next, I'll be using gunmetal for the predator's mask and armor. At this point, I'm going to be using a transparent blue epoxy dye to outline the uncloaked spots on the predator's body. Now I'm going to be using a liquid chrome to give the wrist blades an extra shiny sheen on top of the silver base. I absolutely love how this is turning out. And now we're moving on to one of my favorite parts, adding foliage. So we're going to be adding some grass tufts to the base of the model. Next, I'm using vermilion to paint the digits on the Predator's wrist computer gauntlet. Now, if you recall, at the start of this video, I stated that I was originally not going to make a base for this, but I decided to, so the base has been pre-painted with the same burnt umber that the base of the model was painted with. I'm using the same dark sand yellow to add some color to the base. Now I'm using the fresh cut grass green from before as well. Next up, I'll be using some static glue to prep the base to be flocked with the electrostatic flocking gun, which adds realistic grass to the diorama. Now, the scariest part of making a diorama, the flocking. Essentially, electrostatic flocking utilizes an electric charge to orient fibers and promote their perpendicular alignment. In this method, the adhesive-coated substrate passes through a high-voltage electrostatic field. So, you're essentially charging the base as well as the gun and the grass fibers within the gun's hopper. The end result is that the grass stands up straight when it lands on the diorama, as opposed to laying down, which does not look natural or realistic. So first, we've started with some 2mm straw-colored grass. Now I'll be applying some more static glue, and then flocking with some 2mm medium green grass, followed by some 4mm medium green grass, and finally some 7mm medium green grass, all the while setting each layer with a watered-down scenic cement. After that, I'm adding a few dabs of static glue here and there, and will be setting some darker grass tufts into them. Now I'm using that same watered down scenic glue to wet the base of the diorama so that I can pour and set the dirt. I am using real dirt from my property, as well as real twigs and sticks for logs and branches. I'm also using full-sized crushed gravel for the boulders and the smaller rocks around them. And with that, I think we are going to call this done and give it a spinny. Well, this project turned out better than I possibly could have hoped for or imagined when I initially conceived it. I personally love the final look. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know I am doing a good job by giving it a thumbs up and commenting, and if you wish to support me further as a creator, please subscribe and tap that bell to all notifications so that you never miss any future content from my channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.